Okay, so here we are with Module 1B. We're going to dive into a little bit about what is in a business plan, why are we doing a business plan, and then go into the first couple sections, which are descriptions of your company and the personnel that might be running it. So there are three main purposes of a business plan. The first one is in the development of your business and helping you think about the business. It forces you to think about aspects that you might not actually consider. You might overlook some certain situations or certain elements that can make or break your business actually. And each of these different areas will help you in the development of your business. It will also help you think about the roadblocks and how you're going to get over those obstacles. So it really is a great way of helping you put together all of the bits and pieces and puzzle pieces that will make your business successful. It will help you figure out, one, how you're going to make money, how you're going to monitor it, who's going to turn that idea into, how you're going to turn that idea into making money, and who's going to help you do that. So it gives you a solid plan from day one to 2, 3, 5 years out, how you're going to turn a profit with this business. If you remember a couple lectures ago, there was a graphic as to how many small businesses turn a profit, and only 40%, according to that Forbes graphic, make a profit. You want to be, obviously, in those 40%. So by writing and putting all those ideas down on paper or down on the computer, that will help you do it. One of the last purposes of a business plan is to help you communicate your ideas. You need to be able to go in to a bank or to a meeting with investors and be able to talk about your business idea. And it gives you an opportunity to do that, and it gives you the points and the subject matters to talk about. It also shows potential investors that you're not just a fly-by-night kind of an idea, but you've thought it out and you're thorough in your thinking and in your planning. So who are the audiences for your business plan? Again, three main audiences. You yourself are the biggest audience for a business plan. This is going to help you in your business development and in your idea generating. It's going to ground you. It's going to give you a purpose in your business. Then, of course, investors are an opportunity for you to get some funding, and they need to know what they are going to be funding and what the potential of getting their loans back or their investments back. What kind of opportunities are we looking into? The last is the suppliers. So lots of times big suppliers will want to know what your plan is so that they will be able to give you credit for the supplies and understand that you will be able to pay the bills that come due. What does a business plan do? It answers questions. It answers questions for all of those audiences. It answers the who, the what, the where, the when, the why, and the how. So all of these questions are going to be answered. Who's going to do it? What are you doing? Where are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? Why are you going to do it? And I'll go into that in a little bit. And how are you going to do it? There's a couple Okay, so there are some more specific questions that I wanted to kind of tell you about that every business plan should answer. It goes along with the who, the what, the where's, all those journalistic questions that we learned in elementary school. These are a little bit more specific so that you can return to these questions once you've started writing your business plan and say, did I do this? So the first one is, what is the need that your business exists to satisfy? What hole in the marketplace exists that you've discovered? What's the marketplace, and what is the opportunity that you've found that your particular company can solve? What is that problem that you've found that you can solve? And then how is your business going to solve that problem or satisfy that need? Describe the business. Um, Maybe put in a mission statement or a vision statement, though at this point, the infancy of your business, it's sometimes difficult, but if you've been stewing about this idea for a long time, it might be an opportunity for you to put that out there. How is the company or the business that you're about to start different from others? What is the product or the service that you're going to offer, and how is that going to solve that business hole that we talked about in questions 1 and 2? How is yours different than another company? That differentiation is key, so that you're not just copying somebody else's idea, but that you've got a new twist on the idea, or you have found a hole that customers are looking for that you need, that you think you can satisfy. Somewhere, and we're going to talk about it in this section actually, what who's going to be those key players in that in the business? What are their experiences? What are their expertise? Management team, board, advisors, all of those people are important. If it's just you, but you've got a mentor that you've got that is helping you, I would say put that mentor in so that they know that it's not just you and your idea, but that you've got other people supporting you. How big is the market that you're entering? Investors want to know what the potential is. Um, they You need to know the industry, but you also need to know the size of it. You need to know the profit potential and justifying the opportunity that you've got. If the market's not that big, the plan might not work, and the business might not work. So you need to make sure that you've got um, the future in mind. How big is the market? You might start out small, but what is the potential of that market? Who is your customer? We're going to go through each of these sections. You need to narrow down who your customer is. You can't be all things to all people, so you need to define who that customer is so that you can then target your marketing to that specific customer. What will be the most effective marketing promotional strategies? Again, we've got sections within the plan that will talk about this in particular. What are the economics of your business? That's how you gonna how you gonna make it profitable. What's the costs of doing business? What's the cost of the product that you're making? What is the margins? What's the profit out of those over and above those costs? Those we'll talk about in the last lecture, but you need to be able to answer that for investors. They need to know that you have a plan to make a profit. Number 9 is, how much money is it going to require to get your business off so that you can start making money? 60% of small businesses either break even or don't make money, so you want to be of the other 40%. What's it going to take to be in that 40%? or what at the bare minimum needs to happen for you just at least break even so that you're not in the red. So those are some pretty simple and yet really important questions that every business plan should answer. Um, the point is, though, that you want to make sure that when you're answering those 10 questions, that you're always asking yourself why. You always want to give an answer to the question why. If you're talking about the what it's going to take to break even, you need to then say why and answer the why is it going to take that. You don't just say it's going to take 40 widgets per week sold at 20% markup. You need to say it's going to take 40 at 20% markup because blah 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 blah. You need to say this is my target audience because blah 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 blah. So always 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 think about the why. So what makes a good plan great? There are a number of things that you want to think about when you are writing your plan and at the end of the plan looking back at it. A good plan or a great plan is really, really thorough. You're always asking those questions why. You're always you fill in all the gaps and you leave nothing to question for that investor or for that person who might be reading it. There are good descriptions, there are good stories, there are good opportunities in it, and that um, you are descriptive in your answers to those questions and to each of the sections, because it's important for people to know that you have thought it through. There it is. Always answer the question why. A good business plan is well organized. It's also very professional and consistent. So all the fonts are the same, the headings are the same font and size. Things that should be bolded are bolded consistently, that sort of thing. And of course, there should be zero grammars and errors in the plan. So make sure that you have other people read it and answer the questions that they have. If they come away from the plan with some questions or with doubt or with changes to be made, listen to them and understand that they're doing it out of with constructive criticism, just that it's going to make your plan better. All right, so back in the introduction lecture or introduction, I kind of gave you an idea as to what we're going to cover in these different lectures. This particular one, we're going to quickly talk about the executive summary and company and your management team. And then in further the next 4 lectures, we're going to talk about different modules. We're going to talk about products and services, market analysis, sales and marketing or promotions, and then the financial section. All of these sections, some of them will put, for instance, company and management at the end of it. I stick it up front, but some of them put them back behind the financials, but they are all need to be there in one form or another. So let's first talk about the executive summary. Feels weird to be talking about the executive summary right off the bat, but because it is a summary. So this is a section that you're not going to write until after you've written everything else. It needs to be 2 pages. Depending on how long your business plan is, you might be able to get it into a 1-page deal, but it needs to be a synopsis of the entire plan in a very short amount of time, because some investors will just turn straight to the executive summary and that's all they read, or they'll turn straight to the executive summary and tend to the financial section. You never know, but they want to know that you're thorough and concise in this area, and that executive summary is where you can get the people, the reader, the most excited so that they'll want to read some other sections of the page. There again, you want to be enthusiastic and to the point. Obviously, if the business plan is 50 pages long and you've got 2 pages to excite them in it, you want to use your words judiciously. Again, the executive summary is something that you do at the very end. It's certainly not it can't be an afterthought, but you don't write it until the end so that you're not writing a summary of something you haven't written already. Make sense? Okay, so after the executive summary, you can dive into certain sections of the business plan. And that first section that gives a lot more information and starts out the process is what is your company and what is the management team. So let's first talk about the kind of company that you think you're going to start. I suggest that you take either 121B or 125 Intro to Business, which can, in each of those classes that we talk about the legal entities of a business, and we talk about the pros and cons of each of these 4 different ones in addition to nonprofits. As some of you might be thinking about starting a nonprofit, but you need to describe the reasons why you're starting a business and what form of business you're going to do it. Are you going to be a sole proprietor? That is just you. And that's the easiest way to open up a business. In fact, you just need to get a customer and sell them something before, and you're in business. But businesses, proprietorships and partnerships are the easiest to start. Corporations and LLCs, or limited liability corporations, are more difficult to start. Nonprofits as well has more regulations and that sort of thing. So won't go into the pros and cons here, but you need to know why you are starting the business as you are, and tell your reader that you have thoroughly thought about the reasons why, and give them some satisfaction in knowing why you're doing it. And then you'll also want to talk about any of the details of the company itself. In this particular section, you'll also talk about the management team. You'll talk about who's going to own the business. So if it's you and 2 others, you need to say that. You need to the reader needs to understand what role each owner will play. What are the qualifications and what makes them a good fit for that role. If one of you is going to oversee operations and marketing and another person's going to oversee financing, then you need to, 1, tell people that, and 2, describe what makes that decision a good decision. And in this section, you actually want to provide names and contact information, because there are times when investors will call up and check your information. If you as an owner are not going to be running the day-to-day business, then you need to talk about who is. If you are going to run the day-to-day business, then you need to talk about why you're going to run the day-to-day business. But if you're bringing in somebody else, then you need to talk about what qualifications they have, what are their responsibilities. If you know who it is, give, again, names and contact information. Are there other senior management that will be hired? Do you have somebody that's going to be on there as a director of sales, or you're going to have other people that will be overseeing different sections of the business? This might also be an opportunity for you to talk about board of directors. If you starting in as a corporation, you have to have a board of directors. This might be the opportunity to do that. In they might not be managing, but they will be leading. So you might want to think about sticking that stuff information in there. If you haven't hired anybody yet, uh, you want to tell the reader that you're thinking about these different positions. What attributes of a person would take on that role? What qualifications would you be looking for in a person to take on those specific roles? Again, detail and thoroughness is really critical in all of these sections. So then you want to start talking about your employees. Are you going to start having employees right off? When do you think you're going to be offering jobs to people? How many of the workers are you going to need to bring on? If you are assembling something, then you're going to need help doing it. You need to talk about how many people you're going to employ, what their jobs are going to be doing. Are they professional, like accountants or bookkeepers or financial advisors or attorneys? Or are they skilled workers that are going to be doing construction work? They need to have certifications. Make sure that you talk about the education that they need just to be hired, or if they need certifications, if they need certain degrees and that sort of thing. If you're going to be hiring unskilled workers, tell the reader that, tell them how many, tell them what they're going to be doing, and always answer the questions why. How much are these employees going to be paid in those different sections? It can be a range because you might not know, but you can look at the going rates. You can look at the labor market information and understand what it takes to hire employees. In this section, you also want to talk about how you're going to actually train your employees. You'll talk about the different certifications and degrees that you want them to have when they come in, but then what's the ongoing training going to be? Especially if they're unskilled, what do you need them to do? If you're opening up a organic farm, the unskilled workers that are going to be in the fields, what are they going to be doing? How are you going to train them to take care of the plants, or what they need to be doing? Can you use contractors instead of employees? So again, in 121B, we talk thoroughly through what is the difference between an employee and a contractor, and why you would use one or the other, and when you're using a contractor or an employee. Contractors can be cheaper, but you want to make sure that you're doing it legally. So can you use contractors instead of employees for some functions? And then you want to talk about where you're going to find the employees, and as you grow, what kinds of personnel needs are you going to be looking at filling? What kinds of holes will you need as you grow? It's important to think out into the future, not just at day one or 1 year in, but 5 years in. With some steady growth, what does it going to take to make that steady growth, right? And it's a chicken versus the egg. What comes first? Does the growth come first, or do you start employing people so that you can make more of your widgets? And that's where the growth. So talk about it. Talk about those different pieces in your business plan. That concludes this particular section of the business plan. Again, there's links in the on Canvas for you. Again, not exhaustive, but there is opportunity for you to dig a little bit deeper. Thanks.